All right, well, welcome to everybody, and thank you for joining us for today's event launch with Localvest. My name is Jake Dooley. I am the CEO, and I would like to thank all of you who are logged in and listening today, or if you're watching the recording, welcome to you as well. Localvest is the largest marketplace to invest in military veteran and military spouse-led companies. Our tools let you find all the information you want to know about companies in one place. We call them deal tiles, and they can be shared easily. And then our network gives you different ways to put that opportunity in front of thousands of investors. We make it easy to track and interact with those potential investors as well. So from real estate syndications, startups, funds, or alternative investments, bringing together investors with the great leaders who help America grow. And today we have two of those companies sharing their opportunities. So each one of them is going to share a pitch presentation with you. At the end of each, I'm going to ask them a few questions and we'll get to know each of these companies a little bit better. As a reminder, this is a Zoom webinar, which means that you can see us, but we can't see or hear you, but the chat is live. So if you do have a question, you can ask that question there. We have people who are monitoring the chat from the Localvest team. If we don't answer your question that you asked during the session, that's okay. We will pass it on to the companies so that they can answer those offline to you later. And we're also going to be putting some helpful information in there along the way. So in other words, monitor the chat, use the chat. We also have the Zoom webinar poll feature. And so there'll be a few polls that pop up. So as those come, answer those, especially opportunities that if you want to have a further conversation, we'll make sure to flag those for the two founders of the companies or the presentations that you're hearing today. But again, use the chat. Ask as many questions you have. Hope you learn a lot about these companies and have interest in them. So with that, I'm going to pass this on to our first company. I'm pretty excited about hearing what both of them have to say here. So without further ado, let's get things started. Our first company today takes you to Wisconsin, where we have Eric, who co-founded Vario Equity with Tyler Noel. And Eric brings more than 20 years of investment management and financial planning experience. And during those years, he worked for a Fortune 100 company and then had his own independent registered investment advisory firm. But today, he's going to talk about a new property that's being built in Madison, Wisconsin. Very excited to hear about this one. So I will turn this over to Eric from Vario Equity to tell us more about this opportunity.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jake. Appreciate that. First of all, thank everyone for, I want to thank everybody for attending. I think we've got a really unique opportunity here in Madison, Wisconsin. We're building a 206 unit mass timber apartment. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about Madison itself, why we believe this is going to do well, and more details. So here is the project. And let me just move into the disclosures, and then we'll dive into a little bit about the development team. So as mentioned, Jake mentioned, my background is in wealth management, but I've been raising money for real estate over the last 5 years, as well as other private placements. But there's basically 3 different development teams, or 3 different companies. One is the Neutral Project. The Neutral Project is actually done over 2,000 multifamily units, and Compass Properties below here is actually a privately held company with over 20 years experience. They've developed, managed, and invested in real estate primarily in Madison, and they own and operate and manage 1.5 million square feet of commercial real estate. And then I'm part of Vario Equity. So I'll go into these a little bit more in detail a little bit later, but I just want to give you a high-level overview on the 3 different companies that are working on this particular project. So why Madison? For those of you who've never been to Madison or heard of Madison for that part, Madison is very similar to Austin, Texas. It's just about 30 degrees colder. But I've obviously been to both places, and it's located on an isthmus, so you can see where Baker's Place is on the lower right here. You've got Lake Mendota on one side and then Lake Monona on the other. And when you see the Capitol, you can also tell that a lot of the buildings we're limited as how high we can build. It's actually only 12 stories. So not only is the downtown Madison area you're restricted on height, you're also restricted because there's water all over the place. So, and the problem with Madison is that it's a booming city. Most people don't realize that Trek Bicycles are actually that company is Madison. The really expensive stoves and refrigerators, Wolf Sub-Zero is in Madison. American Family Insurance Company. There's actually over 50 different headquarters of insurance companies in Madison alone. And then you add the UW-Madison. There's a huge hospital clinic system, attorneys. It's a booming city. And you can see right here some of the issues that we have. Right now, there's 3,000 units of housing that are needed in Madison because of there's so many people moving into the city. And you can actually take a look at this U-Haul growth ranking. So U-Haul has they do, I guess, a statistic, and Madison was the third highest one-way U-Haul rentals to Madison. So third quarter of last year, there was 14,000 people that moved to the Madison area. So it's booming, and the lack of housing was one of the reasons why we prompted to build our project. And over the last 10 years, Madison has always had a 98% occupancy rating for rentals. So, all right, and then, just want to make sure. Oh, the other interesting statistic too is that Madison, their rent was one of the largest increases in the country. With last year's rent raised 14.1% from the prior year. Obviously, inflation, but the costs to live in Madison are growing exponentially. So our project. So obviously, we know that there's an issue. There's lots of people moving into town. So we wanted to build a very unique building. And so the Neutral Project, they have spent the last 2.5 years putting together all the board meetings, the associations, getting everything approved. It's a long process to do so. And fortunately, last December, we finally closed on the construction. But where I was going with this is that this project is going to be a mass timber. And so for those of you who've never seen a mass timber, they're just a different type of building. It's beautiful for one. I'll show you some pictures. There's a building that's down in Milwaukee, which is about 90 miles from Madison. And it's also a timber structure. And I'll show you some pictures, and you can actually see how much wood. It's really, really pretty. And it just gives you this whole feeling. It wanted to have some type of an iconic building. So when you think of Baker's Place, you know, oh, that's the place with the timber structure, and it just looks completely different than just an ordinary structure. So where we're building this is 1 mile from the Capitol. And this is primarily where all the new apartments are going up. And there's different amenities, AmFam, American Family, Google. There's Sylvie, which is a 5,000 capacity theater. There's also, it's kitty corner to where the semi-pro soccer team plays. So it's in a fantastic location, tons of restaurants. Another interesting thing is Epic. They do medical records for Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic. It's a huge company, and they have about 20,000 employees. They are hiring 2,500 people just in the next 12 months alone. So you can see the household income in this area within a 3-mile radius. There's over 14,000 people that have $100,000 income or greater. So they have the need, the resources and income to also rent. So we'll get into the numbers in just a little bit. There's 206 units, but there's another 8,400 square feet of retail space, and that's primarily going to consist of a restaurant, a boutique, a retail, a coffee shop, and possibly another restaurant. I'm sorry. So here's actually pictures. I went to Milwaukee, and the reason why I wanted to view this is because C.D. Smith is our general contractor. C.D. Smith is building our building, and they built this building as well. And you can see how much wood is showing in this compared to any other apartment building. So when I pulled up, this is actually 26 story building. It's the largest mass timber building in the world. You can actually see, as you can see in these pictures on the ceiling, all the wood. So when I drove up, you could actually see all the wood in every single every single layer, every single losing my train of thought. I'm sorry. Every level. Sorry about that. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you because we do have the same builder, same concept, but it's neat to actually be able to see what we're going to be building here in the next 2 years. And so the numbers, I want to spend a little bit more time on this because I think it's very important on where we were. Like I said, it's taken 2.5, almost 3 years to put this whole thing together. And since then, we've actually raised just under $25 million. And we just have $5 million to go, which we think will be taken up very quickly, especially when you see some of the information. So a lot of questions that I get are, what if the increased cost of inflation, the rising interest rates, all these different things which are valid concerns. But like I said, our construction closed on December 23rd, and immediately after that, we were able to mitigate some of these risks. One of them is permitting risk. Of course, we have all the permits to build this project for concrete, everything. So we don't have to worry about that anymore. And the only permit that we would need, of course, is occupancy permit, which is once we finish the project in January of 2025, they do a final walkthrough and then they give us that permit. And again, we're working with a general contractor, CD Smith, very, very strong contractor. They finished the one in Milwaukee. And so we're very confident that we'll move forward with ours as well. So financing risk, so we're using Bank OZK right now. And a lot of things have changed in the last 4 months. One of them, we're leveraged at 60%. If we were to do this whole project right now with Bank OZK, we'd actually only be able to leverage 40%. So we would need 20% more down today than we did 4 months ago. And obviously that would affect the numbers completely. So that's one important. The other thing, we've locked in a rate. So our blended high rate that we have is 6.5% for end financing. Right now, we bought a derivative, and it was painful to buy that derivative in December because it's extremely expensive to lock in that rate. But we knew with increasing interest rates, we really wanted to lock that in. And so our blended rate is 6.5%. If we were to close on it today, it would be at 8.05%. So we know that we've already protected ourselves substantially from increasing interest rates. And guess what? If they go down, that's great, that we just protected ourselves regardless. But so that was important. The other interesting thing is the company that we bought our derivative from, so we could guarantee that interest rate, they called us in February and told us that derivative was 3 times more expensive than what we paid for it in December. So I think that's really important to know, because if we were to build this exact project starting and close on it today, none of these numbers would even remotely look like what I'm presenting to you. But because we were able to lock those in, we took precautions, we hedged a lot, we were able to lock those in, and we really reduced our risk on this project. So in the last part, construction, right? Everything's getting more and more expensive. But we have what's called a GMPC, gross max price contract, with our general contractor. What that means is we've signed off 3 different times to lock in our prices for everything, for contract, for even appliances. Everything is locked in. We know what the exact costs are going to be moving forward. And we also have built in some contingencies in case we have some change orders, which obviously happen in build. So we're very dialed into this, and that's why we feel very comfortable with the numbers that we're showing, is because of these reduced risks. And it's really a great opportunity to invest. If you think of it, the $24 million that we had raised prior to January, all of these risks were associated with that raise, and now we've gotten rid of them or mitigated them. So we're very excited to share that. And then one other thing, which I think is very important, there's a building just down the street that a little bit closer to the Capitol. It's a 240 unit apartment building. They're charging $3.35 per square foot per month. that means 1,000 square foot apartment building would be about $3,300 a month. We're estimating in 2 years from now that our rent will be $3.24. So basically 10 cents cheaper than the project that's just down the street. And we're projecting 2 years from now. So I think we're being very conservative with our numbers. And that building that just started leasing up in January, so it's been 4 months, they're 40% occupied in just 4 months. So we're very excited. We think we're going to hit the numbers that we presented for all the things that I've shared. And one more note, the development team. So Vario, as well as Compass and Neutral Project, we all have over $3 million total invested into the project. So we do have a lot of skin in the game. And sorry. So anyway, that's the high level overview. So I'll stop there. And again, thank you for your time.
All right, thanks, Eric. So this is great. If I cannot ask a few questions here. I mean, the first thing for me, it's interesting is I'll tell you, I have not been to Madison. I should. I ventured up as a Midwesterner to go through, but we think growth. I think most of us think Sun Belt like today, right? And so you think, oh, how do we go to the Southeast, right, down in there? But tell me more about Madison here to go through, because I mean, this is amazing. Like, why do you think that people don't know about? Is it just a sleeper success story? I don't get it.
Yes, I would say Madison is the fastest growing city in in Wisconsin. But yeah, if you haven't been here and the infrastructure, Madison is a small version of San Francisco. I mean, if you compare it, it's a huge tech community, a huge startup community. So there's a lot happening, and then there's just so many large companies that are continuing to hire people. And so Madison has fantastic schools, has low crime. The standard of living is reasonable, I would say, when you compare to other cities. So I think putting all that together is why it's seen so much growth. And of course, all these different companies, they're continuing to hire, like Exact Sciences, Epic, and it's just a very solid city to invest in. And like I said, 98% of the rental units have been occupied over the last 10 years. So it's a fantastic area to be in.
It's amazing. So the lot that it's in, it's not an empty lot. There was something there before, correct?
Yes. Yep. I'm sorry I didn't mention that. So it was an old bakery. I forget how many, 50, 60 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so we're keeping the front of it. That's why it's called Baker's Place. We're keeping the front of it because it's a very old style brick building. It's really pretty. And so, and then majority of behind the building, there was a lot of parking lot, but we also got rid of some, a building in the back, and we've already started digging the hole. So I checked with our team. We're going to have timber will be delivered towards the end of the summer, but all concrete and foundation work will be done by right around the end of July, early August.
Gotcha. So that's I take it then that's the derivative of the name, right? The Baker's Place is calling back to that bakery.
Yeah, so on the main drive, which is East Washington, that leads actually directly to the Capitol, about just down 1 mile. Mm-hmm. So that's the part we're leaving. So it's very, old school, I guess. Instead of putting up a brand new building, it's going to keep the architect of the old building, and then it'll be built behind it. So it's kind of cool.
Okay. All right. So this thing too, I think, if I get the definitions right, there's a timber frame construction, but mass timber is a very different thing. So maybe more like what that means to be mass timber, like what it looks like.
Yeah. So in those pictures I was mentioning, because obviously I saw pictures, but I actually got to see it firsthand going to Milwaukee. And so what they'll do is that it has the same it has a lot of fire resistance. I mean, there's a lot of coating, of course, that goes into these buildings, but they're extremely durable. And but more importantly, they're very, very unique. When you go down to Milwaukee and you see that building, there's no other apartment building that looks like it. And that's what we really wanted to focus on. And at the same time, that's why I wanted to bring up the price of a conventional apartment building that's just being built down the street, 240 units. they're charging $3.35 per square foot. Ours is a mass timber construction, and we're still getting all of these all of these returns. So it's not like it's 50% more expensive to build. It's just I guess it's better for the environment, but more importantly, it's just the way the structure looks and feels. You'll find inside, 2 feet by 2 foot filled wood beams that are in the corner of a family room, and then obviously the ceiling is completely full of wood beams or a completely a wood panel.
So you mean so the wood is not even just in the common areas, like where it's built, people will have an apartment that will have timber frame in the actual timbers in the unit that they can see and showcase. Is that what you mean?
Yes. Yeah. And every unit that I walked into, it had a 2 foot by 2 foot wood beam. And so it's very contemporary, I would say, but it's, like I said, it's very, very pretty.
I'm trying to go. You mentioned some of this, kind of shifting the rental problems that you're going through. So what do you think about Baker's Place in this project makes it stand out as a great opportunity to address the rental problem?
I think a lot of it has to do with the location. We're literally a half a mile from both lakes. Madison is a huge biking town. They also have an Ironman in downtown Madison. So there's a lot of active people outside, and there's tons of bike trails and things like that. But I would say it's the location and then the structure of the building also. But I would say those are probably the two main drivers of why let me say of the uniqueness, I would say.
Okay. And then I think last question here to go through our topic is you said construction, you started in December, and what do you say it looks like today? If I went to the site, what's happening?
Yeah. There's a big hole. So I just got pictures today to see it, and they're digging, and so the process will be they'll start laying concrete by June, and the timber will be delivered in August, so we'll start building up from that point. So sometime in the fall we'll start going upward, and then our expected time frame is January of 2025 to get occupancy permit.
I see. But the big things I think you had mentioned in there was that because of the timing of where you are in the stage of the project, you've locked in the long-term financing, and a lot of the all the permits, you're just following that schedule, and all the big ticket items are already locked in. Essentially, the big things are moving. A lot of things can happen, but you've done your best to mitigate out everything that you at least hope you can mitigate out. You've done.
Yes. Yeah, we're very excited because a lot has changed in just 4 months. Like I said, we probably wouldn't be able to do this project if we were building it today, knowing what the interest rates are, the derivative costs, the cost of the building supplies themselves. Everything has changed substantially, and so we were fortunate that like I said, we hedged a lot. It was an expensive derivative cost that there was talk about interest rates coming down. So, but we just did it, and we're very, very happy that we did a lot of that due diligence just to make sure that, since we've started our project, we haven't been like, oh, we need to raise more money because we didn't do this right, or we didn't do this right. We've always knew we were going to raise just under $30 million. And so we're $5 million short for right now. And we have a lot of good things happening in the next couple of weeks. But, even the investors that have invested 6 months to a year ago, like I had mentioned, there was a lot more uncertainties at that point before we closed on construction. So moving forward, we're literally just following the schedule to build it in January 2025. We have everything locked in, from interest rates to building costs. We have all of our financing, all of our permitting. So it's literally, we're advantaged that I've gotten this question before. What if you don't raise enough money? We do have a bridge loan secured. So, and that will convert to equity at some point if needed. So we would like not for that to happen, but that's why we're able to continue to raise money as we build, because we secured a bridge loan. We didn't need to raise all the money ahead of time. And I think it's actually helpful for investors to see it, be closed on it, see that there's less risk, and now be able to invest into a project like this.
So thanks a lot for this, Eric. I mean, I really enjoyed hearing more about this to go through. I'm gonna make my trip to Madison now, put it back on the list to go through.
Absolutely.
I think more of us need to go up there and do that and check out everything it has to offer. So I'm really excited to see the project grow. We're reaching our time here to end and need to switch to our other company. But if anybody wants to reach out to Eric at Vario, there's some contact information he had on his last slide, but we're also going to put it in the chat, and there'll be the poll you can do on your screen. You're also going to get an email after this too that have the contact information for Eric and Vario if you want to do some more there. So let me move over from my screen here, pop my poll too, but that is all right. So we have that information, but we're going to move to our next company.
Thanks, Jake.
Okay, thanks, Eric. And next, something completely different is we have Monica Fullerton with us today. She married her high school sweetheart, and he happened to join the Air Force, and she ended up becoming a military spouse and everything that comes with that. And she's quickly learned, like I know I have, and a lot of you have who are in the military or were military spouse yourself. Military spouses are creators, they're makers, they're entrepreneurs, they're out there doing. But a lot of them, as they fulfill those passions, they're doing it between deployments and PCSs, and they're still running these full-time businesses. But a lot of times there's not a central location to shop and support all of the deserving entrepreneurs within the military community. And therefore, we have Monica and her company Spouse-ly. So I'm going to let her tell you more about Spouse-ly and how it's helping all these military and first responder families be a part of the greater community. So I will turn it over to you, Monica.
Thanks, Jake, and thank you everyone for joining us today. We are switching gears over into the e-commerce world. So good afternoon, good morning, everyone. I am Monica Fullerton. I am a proud Air Force spouse, a twin mom, and a corporate businesswoman turned entrepreneur out of my own pure frustration and inspiration. Did you know that there are over 12 million military spouses between active duty and veteran, and 48% of them are self-employed, small business owners, or aspire to be? And with millions of businesses owned by our nation's heroes, there is not one central location to shop and support their businesses. Because of this, I launched Spouse-ly, which is an online marketplace to shop a wide variety of both products and services, all created by military and first responder families. It is through our one-of-a-kind platform that anyone can shop small, make a big impact, and purchase with a purpose. But Spouse-ly is so much more than just an online marketplace. It has turned into an entrepreneurial hub, that central location. We're providing our community with tools and resources, community, and we've expanded to so many other opportunities like corporate gifts, which makes me so excited because, like I said, sometimes when people hear an online marketplace, they think, oh, it's just shopping. But for our community, it's so much more. It's providing flexibility, stability, and that creative outlet when needed most, like Jake mentioned. So you're probably wondering who's shopping on Spouse-ly, who's seeing Spouse-ly as a resource, as a place to really put more funds in the pockets of our nation's heroes. Well, our core focus is the B2C market. And we found that most of our consumers are either military or first responder connected. And also a lot of our vendors turn into our customers. So we're really trying to target those families that have a near and dear focus on supporting our nation's heroes. We've also seen that the B2B market is also a huge opportunity for us. We have many corporate partners and corporate companies coming to us to either source their corporate gifts or to work with us to have a strategic partnership where we're helping them really learn more about our community and why these small businesses mean so much. And then lastly, we've got organizations. We have so many amazing partners where like-minded companies are teaming up, we're spreading our mission, we're supporting our community, and we're really making that greater impact together. So you're probably wondering, how do we make money? Well, Spouse-ly is mirrored very much like Etsy on the product side, and on the service side, like Angie's List. So I like to call it, think Etsy meets Angie's List, but with a focus on shopping for social good and supporting our nation's heroes. So on the product side of Spouse-ly, everything is very similar to Etsy, where there's the low subscription fees, and then we take a 10% fee from each transaction. About 6 to 7% currently is going to Spouse-ly, and the rest is going to Stripe for our merchant fees. As we continue to grow and build, we know that we can increase those fees, but first it's really important to continue bringing more consumers and more support to our community. And then on the service side, which is mirrored very similar to Angie's List, it's a low annual fee to be on the platform. Currently, it's only $35 a year, but that's because it's just a marketing platform only. My original thought process was, well, people are always looking online to shop, so let's get them online to shop, but also show them that they can come back to Spouse-ly to hire a service provider, which is anything from marketing companies, CPAs, legal, and the list goes on. We actually are also working on some expansion opportunities to really grow out and build the service side to be more robust, because that's an area that we know that we can easily increase those fees and put more attention to. And then lastly, our corporate gifting, like I mentioned, is a huge opportunity. These are companies that are coming to Spouse-ly to really change the narrative in a corporate setting. So we all know corporate companies have big budgets to spend on corporate gifting. And at the end of the day, people really just don't want, branded swag all the time that they're not going to use. So what we're doing is we're helping them source and curate more meaningful gifts. We just recently did an awesome project with one of our corporate partners, which is Elevon and US Bank, where they came to us. We put together a number of different gifts that could be included in these boxes that they wanted to give to their customers. And inside of those boxes was a candle, was some spices, was a children's book, and I forget what else, I think some room spray, stuff that people could actually use. And there was a card inside of it that talked about each vendor and how they're supporting their story and their business. So as you can see, there's just so many opportunities with having that one central location. So with a multi-vendor marketplace, we have to have both customers and vendors. So on the consumer side, there are over 263 million consumers that shop online, and 70% of those consumers are looking to shop small and make a bigger impact. And we know that those patriotic consumers are always looking for ways to support. As a military spouse myself, I know that, there's so much that goes beyond just saying thank you for your service. It's really finding ways to help put more funds in the pockets of these families, and supporting their businesses is one key way to do that. So we're looking at really a $14 million opportunity, and that can expand to much more, but just kind of dialing in on what I know we can capture with the right marketing and support. So then we have the vendor side, and military spouse entrepreneurs are on the rise. And as the name kind of alludes to itself, Spouse-ly, our core focus is always going to be helping spouses, because at the end of the day, military families relocate on average every 2 to 3 years, which really makes it hard for spouses to hold a career doing something they truly love, which is why many are turning to entrepreneurship to be able to control their own outcome. Now, with it being a focus on just spouses, we do have a number of different business owners as well. All of our vendors are approved through our partnership with GovX. They have, it's called GovX ID. It's basically like ID Me. So all of our vendors are approved military spouses, veterans, veteran spouses, service members, Gold Star families, and first responder families. So as you can see from that stat that I mentioned earlier, if we even take just that around 6 million number alone just in the spouse world, and we open that up to veterans and first responders, we are looking at a huge opportunity, enough to sustain its own entire marketplace. So I really want to focus on that 8 million range. And even if, as you can see, if we capture just 1% of that, we are still creating and building that greater impact through our marketplace. So since launching right before the global pandemic, great timing, we have continued to prove that our mission is viable and impactful. I have been a bootstrapping solopreneur. So as you can see that we've continued to just grow and scale just through the power of our community. Everything has been very tight from a marketing standpoint. So we have gone from 0 vendors to over 500 vendors within the past 3 years. We're over $220,000 in gross revenue, over 5,000 products sold, and over a 1.9 million people reached between our platform, our social media, and our impact that we're making. So as you can see, it was really, really important to me to pour a very strong foundation to continue to prove that our mission is viable and impactful, and which leads me to why it's so important to continue putting that fuel that we need to make Spouse-ly a household name. So our competitors, obviously, we're stacking up against Amazon military, which many times people don't even really know it's out there, but it's essentially kind of what I'm doing as well. But it's Amazon, and it doesn't really go hand in hand with supporting small businesses. And then, of course, we've got Etsy and we've got Angie's List. But what truly makes Spouse-ly unique is we are directly embedded in the military space. With me being a military spouse myself, I know firsthand what our community needs and how we're able to support them no matter where this lifestyle takes them. So our focus is 100% on military connected and first responder owned businesses. We have both product and service-based businesses, which our competitors do not. And we have those low costs for barrier to entry. So we want to make sure that we are really showing the value of a place like Spouse-ly and continuing to build and grow together. And what I love about Spouse-ly, it's such a beautiful circle of a business model where the more we grow, the more we're directly putting funds in the pockets of all of these military and first responder small business owners. So it's a really, really nice opportunity. We have a very small but mighty team. We have myself, we have a veteran, we have a military supporter, and another military spouse. And we are just constantly continuing to be as resourceful as possible and have continued to just bring everything together that we know to really amplify and get Spouse-ly everywhere with that tight budget that we're currently working on. And then we've got our advisors. All of them have amazing backgrounds in different areas. To me, it was very important, even though I haven't been able to fully make more full-time hires or anything like that. We've got people that are hands-on, that are passionate about seeing Spouse-ly succeed. So what we're doing now is we are moving into the next phase of Spouse-ly. Like I mentioned before, it was so important to me to pour that strong foundation. When I quit my corporate career about 2.5 years ago, it was a huge risk. I was very used to making a really great salary, working full-time, remote, traveling, all the things. From a checkbox standpoint, I was doing it. But for me personally, the passion was missing. And I started to see just how many incredible and inspiring other makers, creators, and entrepreneurs there were out there that I knew I had to do something. So since I quit my corporate career, everything has been just very tight. And the most that we've been spending on marketing and like ads is like around $500 a month, which we all know is not doing anything. It's basically just retargeting, keeping lights on. So now it's time to truly take Spouse-ly to the next level, and we need some jet fuel to do it. And we're asking for $500,000, and we're looking to really increase our marketing efforts, making a few other key hires, and constantly improving our technology for the vendor and consumer process. So I really hope that you would that you reach out, ask me some questions, learn more about how amazing our community is. I get asked all the time, why Spouse-ly over Etsy? And to be honest, it's a no-brainer to me. Our community superpower is support. And if we can continue to just build our own entire marketplace and support one another in both life and in business, we are able to, honestly, the sky's the limit. There's so much that we can do. There's so many other avenues. We have a ton of media opportunities. We're working on a media arm off of Spouse-ly because we've continued to see at the end of the day, these small business owners come to a marketplace like Spouse-ly for a reason. They want help with getting the word out there about their business, and they want to be alongside a like-minded community. So that's all I've got for you today. Very excited to announce last week, I was just named on the Inc. Female Founder 200 list and have been on the Forbes Next 1000 list. And honestly, it just continues to show that we've got the power. We were able to do what we want to do. We just need the right help to get there. That's all I got, Jake.
All right, Monica. But I got to tell you, this is always exciting to go through it. And I want to build on that. So I have my list here because I cannot remember them all and brag on you for a minute here, right? So you have got for the awards, Trailblazer in Tech by Military Spouse Magazine, Forbes Next 1000 list, on the Mighty 25 list of the most influential leaders supporting the military community, named the Entreprenista 100 list, Inc. female founder. I'll just stop here to go through. So how are you? So these are amazing, right? So congratulations to you, but
Thank
can
you.
you tell me how you've been using that in your marketing so far?
Yeah, being able to have these kind of recognitions is huge because it's showing that, we're not just here to play small. We are here to truly make a big impact. At the end of the day, the sooner that we can get Spouse-ly recognized as the go-to marketplace to shop and support military and first responder owned businesses, the sooner that like I said, I know that we're putting more of those funds in the pockets of all these amazing families. So I really see it as, a step process where we're really making our mark. We're getting our name out there, really strong brand recognition, as well as people want to invest in other people, right? So for me, being a military spouse, having that corporate background and really, sharing my own story of how I had to pivot in my own journey is really something that I hope that I can use to help inspire others to see that you can do something that you love while living this life. Sometimes we just need the extra support to get there.
So, well, the thing I want to track, I know people figured out what you had said in there, but I mean, you essentially have been bootstrapping this whole thing. I mean, you went from what you started with 30 something vendors, you're up to 500 in the middle of COVID and all the things that we're doing, but you've spent, I mean, $500 is nothing, right?
Yeah.
So you've grown that. So it's like, that's here, what you would be able to do would be crazy with having dollars to be able to spend on true marketing. You technically have not done that, if I'm hearing what you're saying.
Yes, correct. Like I said, when I was still my first year, still working my corporate career, I had the funds to be able to get everything where it's at today. But obviously, after going all in on Spouse-ly, that number just slowly started to go down. So what we've been able to do is just really get the power of community to come together and continue to share the word. So everything really at this point, our growth has truly been word of mouth, which is why I know it's so important to just really be able to put the right marketing budget and marketing opportunity behind Spouse-ly, so we can continue growing and building.
When you go back 2.5 years and your come decision to do this, what is it that you saw that goes, here's a problem with the military spouse community to address that's like, okay, Monica's the right person to do this, and now is the time. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I'll share something a little personal, and I don't love saying it out loud, but it's the truth. And I know there's so many other spouses out there that can resonate with this. It's, the first few years of being a military spouse, I told nobody I was a military spouse. I was very career driven. I never wanted it to limit my opportunities. And sadly, oftentimes there's just a bias around our community. When people hear military spouse, they think of limiting. They think, okay, we're going to be moving all the time, or maybe you don't have this, or you can't do that. And it pisses me off. Nothing boils my blood more than hearing that, because there are so many incredible and inspiring, military spouses out there that are innovators, creators, that are taking the leap and are making it all of it work. So for me, it has been really just, my blood was boiling. I was like, we can't keep continuing on this same path. We need to bring light to the modern day military spouse, the modern day military life, and really putting spouses back in the front seat versus the back seat on this journey, because there's way too much talent in this space to continue operating like that. And I hope to continue shining light on all of the incredible, makers, creators, entrepreneurs, and all of those that are making a huge opportunity work even in a corporate career.
So a question on that is, so the Spouse-ly name, you talk military spouses, but who can use the platform and goes through, like, it changed? Because I hear it could go through, it is not just people who are on active duty military spouses, right?
Yeah. So I know sometimes, I get some feedback on that. Some people either love the name Spouse-ly, or some people are like, oh, is Spouse-ly, has that been really limiting for you? At the end of the day, a name is a name, right? There's so many crazy names out there. It's all about brand awareness and what you're putting in front of people. So yes, anyone can come onto Spouse-ly to shop and support. There's no registration, nothing. You can literally, if you are just a supporter and you want to come onto Spouse-ly and purchase a product from one of these business owners, you just go on and you shop just like you would on Etsy or Amazon or anywhere else. But on the vendor side, all of our vendors are approved, either military or first responder connected. Not everybody is a spouse. We have a lot of service members. We have a lot of, veterans, and it's just really showing that light that needs to be shined more on the spouse angle, because I'm sure this, Jake. I mean, you ask any, veteran or active duty person, how they're able to make it all work. A lot of times they'll say, because my spouse is helping so much, or my spouse is able to help be the glue. Well, it's time that we give spouses their own spotlight to shine. And also everyone else is always welcome, but this is our time to shine.
I see. And the big thing that people understand too, and realize is once you're on the platform, if you're doing that and all of a sudden the spouse is off active duty,
Yep.
you're still on the platform, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And as you said, some of them turned in that the spouse has started an opportunity, and then the veteran retires or leaves, and they make a company and work together on the platform. All those are awesome.
And that is my favorite thing. We have a lot of husband and wife duos, which is so cool. One of our vendors, she's a military spouse. Her husband's active duty. He does woodworking and she does all different types of different products. They both have their own businesses on Spouse-ly. And we've just got so many inspiring stories. But yes, I always say when one person serves, the entire family serves too. And that really is our core.
I know you mentioned in there on the competition, so Amazon military, which I had not heard of, so I guess it's a good thing, right? But Amazon military and what Etsy's doing, but you were talking about what makes them, they don't have the special sauce. I think you said it in there when we were talking before, that it's a mug is a mug, but the story is what makes the difference. And I wonder if you could share some more on that idea.
Absolutely. Nothing is stopping another company like Etsy just developing out, a military arm. Nothing is stopping them. They have not done it yet. And that's something that I think is very important. At the end of the day, it's just going to be an arm off of their business, where Spouse-ly, this is our core. This is our focus. That's what makes us truly different than any other marketplace out there, is we are focused on supporting and giving back to all of our families. And then what was your next question? Sorry, I missed the piece.
Oh, that was it. Well, you were talking the stories.
The stories. Yes, the stories are huge, and it is so important. So yes, at the end of the day, I get it. You can go buy, can't see it, a mug. You can go buy, artwork or anything from anywhere else. But what truly separates, our community is our vendor stories. A lot of these businesses started maybe when their spouse was deployed, or maybe they're a Gold Star family. And this small business is what's helping continue to push their family forward. So that's where I've really seen a huge opportunity for us to continue shining light on how amazing our community is, which is why, media has been great for us, and developing out a media arm. And it's just getting those consumers to see, if you purchase with purpose, you're doing so much more than just shopping. You are directly making a big impact.
This has been great. So I think it's time we can finish here to go through. I know a lot of you probably have some great questions you want to ask Monica, but you all have lots of important tasks here to do. So you need to go on Spouse-ly and check it out and find something to buy. And then I hadn't even been thinking about it. We talked about it as if you have a corporate, something you need to give gifts to a lot of different people, come to Spouse, and you'll know the background of where it came from. And of course, from an investment standpoint, Monica's I know we've been talking to you a long time, and in background, I'm like, not ready yet. Now you're like, it's time to raise. This is one of the first rounds that she's been able to do and bootstrap from here. So this is everybody on the call's opportunity to participate in what Spouse-ly is doing. Not only is it an investment, but making a difference in the community. So thank you, Monica, for being able to come in here. It's, I was excited we have a chance to do that. So we're going to wrap up our presentations today. Two great companies, two very different things, from a real estate opportunity in a city that we all need to visit, to an opportunity to help out the veteran and military family community through Spouse-ly. I hope you found something that excites you and potentially invest in. Our next event that we have for Localvest is on May 10th. I encourage you to sign up for that. We'll be able to come through. Two totally different companies will be there on the 10th, just like we try to do every month. I also encourage you to go to the Localvest website. As I said, we have deal tiles that are out, lots of different opportunities. They're live, going through. and all different types, real estate syndications, funds, startup companies. So I encourage you to look, ask them questions, schedule some time here. We did put Monica's information, and you can follow us on social media. Monica's information we dropped in the chat. We sent Eric's before. And again, you will get an email that has all this information. If you're out scrambling, trying to get it, don't worry, we'll send the information out to you. All right, and those are the main things. So as we get here to the top of the hour, thank you all for coming. I hope you found something you like, that you can help support our communities. I encourage all of you to sign up for our next event, but until then, thank you and have a great rest of your day.